Welcome to Law of Attraction in Action. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Michelle Joy and I am your host. And today is our Monday solo session where I get to inspire you on how to use the law of attraction in your everyday life. And today is a gorgeous day. So if you want to watch this on video, it is just beautiful sunshine behind me. Even I'm inside, but the sun's radiating in my house. And I live in Portland, Oregon, where there's flowers everywhere. It is just the most beautiful city in the world for people who've never been here. We truly are, we are known as the city of roses, but it really should be the city of flowers because it like rains flowers in the spring. And it's just so beautiful. And I know some people have heard of us with all our rain. We do get that, but it's the rain that makes us so beautiful. So I just wanted to share with you my joy on how beautiful it is and to know that you can watch this podcast also on YouTube if you want to see what I look like and how I move and more than just listening to my voice or just I'm happy to share with you on just the audio with the podcast. So I'm here either way. And as always, thank you all of you for listening in and your comments. I'm getting more and more people going to the Facebook group, and I will post that link here, but it is a group that where you can make comments to me or post stuff on Law of Attraction. And I'm going to start doing Facebook live calls there every Wednesday. And I'm going to start that soon and I will let you all know when I'm going to start that, but sign up with that group because there will be more support. And I'll do more teaching on that site. So it's the Facebook group. And I'll post it here on the show notes. And also, I just love to hear from you. So if you have any things you want me to share, especially on these Monday solo sessions, send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. Or if you just have a question or are interested in learning about my coaching and how I can support you, just definitely reach out. I am here for you. Okay, so let's get on to our solo Monday session and what I want to teach you today. And this was inspired by someone who reached out to me and asked me a question about intuition and how to know when to act on intuition. And I think that's a hard one for many people because we know we need to move, we need to act. So we place our intention to the universe. We say, okay, this is what I want. The universe then shows up, makes it work for you, but then it's waiting for you to take that step. And so that's the part people are like, do I go now? Do I go later? When do I move? It gets very confusing on understanding what I call inspired action. It's the kind of action that you definitely need to move, but it's hard to understand sometimes what's inspired and what is not. So I like to easily explain this by showing you the difference between inspired and ego action. They're very different actions. So ego action, which many of us do, and I still do it too, as much as I live and breathe and sleep in law of attraction, I am a human being and I do it too. But that ego action is that kind where you say, I should do something. If you feel this pull to, or not, it's not a pull, it's a push, right? I should sign up for that program, even I'm not really not that interested, or I should go to that college, or I should stay in my job even though it makes me miserable. It's like that those are things that feels kind of heavy. I always like to say heavy and light because that's an easy way too of saying, is it light or is it heavy? So ego action is very much in the place of shoulds, but it's also in the place of fear. And that's a big one because so many of us do things on fear. So like for instance, when I've had situations in the past with my job when I was working as a full-time nurse, and I just had a really negative situation with my manager, and I'm like, that's it, I'm applying for another job. And so I go and apply for other jobs, and even though I'm a qualified nurse, I didn't even get an interview. And so of course, once the anger or the frustration went away, I realized, okay, maybe that wasn't the right move, and thank God the universe is watching out for me. But what I did was I tried to take action, or I took action in that negative space. So I was reacting to something that upset me, and then I acted on it. So we do this all the time. But honestly, the only thing you need to do when you're in that negative space, do not act, do not move. the only thing you should do is find a way to get back into alignment. And I'm going to give you some tips and tools on how to do that towards the end of this podcast. But for now, I just want to explain the difference between ego action and inspired action. So ego is fear. It's that like I should, it's that, heavy energy. Now, if it's inspired action, it's exciting, it's light, it feels kind of like you get an extra skip to your step, like you're like, oh, this is such a fun idea. And it's that kind where you just like, it's like a burst of energy. Like it's really fast sometimes. And this is another thing I want to share with you is sometimes that inspired action goes away really quickly, because what happens then is our ego starts taking over, and our ego starts telling us, well, is that a good idea? And let's play safe. And we should look at the pros and cons, right? We all do that. Get your list of your pros and your cons. But they're not going to do you any good if you don't move. You got to know, if you get inspired by something that excites you, you need to move. And a really good book on this is called The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. And I've mentioned it before in other podcasts, but what I love about that book is, and it's not exactly what I'm teaching here, but it says the same stuff, is when we get inspired or we get an idea to do something, you need to do it in 5 seconds. So she calls it the 5-second rule. So then you count to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then go. Just do it. Do it. And that 5 seconds, that's your rule. And that's why I love it. 5-second rule is it moves you. And then the ego does not have time to chime in, because the ego will chime in. There's lots of times in my life I would come up with an idea, and then if I sat on it for too long, then I would just give up on it. And how many ideas are being flown into us? I call that flow, it's like that flow of energy, that flow of divine energy is looking for anybody who's open, who is in that high alignment, that high vibration place, and it looks for you, and then it goes through you, it gives you like this burst of energy, and it's like, yes, you're going to do something, and then most people don't. So I'm here to inspire you that it's so important to move when you're inspired. So let me give you some other tips on what inspired action, or what it feels like to be inspired. So A is you get really excited. You feel it in your body. So really pay attention. You feel so good when you get an inspired thought. And I'm sure many of you have felt that before. Like, where's that one thing, that book you read, or, maybe you went to a seminar, or maybe you just heard someone talk, or maybe even on these podcasts, right? You get this idea. You're like, oh, that feels so right. So you feel it in your body. You feel almost this place, the sense of peace, or actually it's more of excitement for me, but sometimes it can be peace and calm when you have this crazy life, and at one moment you feel this peace and calm, then you're in alignment, and that thought coming to you is the right way to go. So inspired action is flowing. It's exciting. It's like I heard Wayne Dyer speak once. He says it's like you're jumping out of your skin with excitement. And I get that all the time, especially when it comes to law of attraction. I get so excited. In fact, I could be super tired, no energy, and then someone asks me a question about law of attraction, and like, boom, my energy shoots up. Like I get so excited. So I get inspired all the time and get ideas all the time. And it's made my business thrive because I listen to that inspired thoughts and I take action. That's kind of one of my superpowers, I believe, is I'm a huge action girl. And I'm said that in other podcasts, I don't really have a reflex to stop. It's almost like I'm missing that part in me where I get an idea and I just go. And it's funny, my sweetie's the exact same way. We both just get an idea and we go, which sometimes can be bad. We're at a program and they say, you need to buy this. And we're both running with our credit cards, right? And at the end of the day, we're like, maybe we should have that one through. But in general, everything that comes through you that's exciting, you should act on it. Okay. So another thing to explain about inspired action and why it's so hard to differentiate, because again, if it were so clear, more of us would be doing it. right? But I think what happens is sometimes, oftentimes, when you get an inspired thought, it's pushing you a little out of your comfort zone, or maybe a lot out of your comfort zone. So if you're getting something says, oh, do this, and then you're like, that's a big, hairy, scary idea. Like, really? And I get this all the time. Like when I decided to do my joy videos, my 365 days of joy, I got the idea and immediately I'm like, I have to do this. And then right behind that, I'm thinking, well, oh my gosh, this is quite a commitment. For an entire year, I'm going to do a video of myself about joy. Like, what are people going to think of me? Or, what am I able to maintain joy for a full year? And I insist on being vulnerable. So I'm like, well, and then I'm just going to have to show myself to the whole world every day. So it was big, hairy, scary, right? And so there is some fear to inspired action. And so that's another thing. People go, well, it needs to feel light the whole time. And then if it doesn't feel light, I'm not going to do it. Well, scary stuff that are beyond our comfort zone doesn't feel light. And I wouldn't call it heavy either, but I would call it like there's some resistance in you because it's something new. And we tend to want to back away from new things because it's scary, right? And so when you get that inspired thought, just know that this is part of the trust, and this is going to be another solo session, which is why I do them every Monday. I have so many ideas. But we need to let go of or have trust in the universe and trust that it's going to work out. If you are inspired by something within you, it is meant to manifest. There's no accidents. And I really believe that when we get that inspired thought that makes us excited, it shows up in our life because it is meant to manifest. And if it's meant to manifest, the universe is helping us along the way. We are not alone. And so when you get that inspired thought, you may get a little bit of fear, but you do it anyway. And then you trust that it's going to work out. And you know what? If it doesn't work out, then maybe that inspired action was leading you to another action that is even better, but you couldn't have gotten to that action without taking the first one. Does that make sense? I like to look at it as like the door. You get this inspired thought, you go to that door. That door is your inspired thought. And then you go open that door. And beyond that door is another door with another inspired thought and another door and another door. But you could not see door 4 without going through 1, 2, and 3. So that's the journey. Like everything that I teach and what Abraham teaches and law of attraction, it's about the journey. It's about the joy of the journey, right? And so when you get an inspired thought, you must act. Like you must act now. And another thing, as far as what do inspired thoughts, like I can tell you what it looks like, it feels in your body, but sometimes it comes in like such a small little whisper. It's like a little tiny, like, what was that? And I've heard Oprah say that before, like it's a whisper. Sometimes I think when I've talked about this other podcast is people get into that point where they're not listening to their intuition and then they get that cosmic 2x4. I'm not sure if you heard my one with Trent talking about pain, but he sure got that metal bar hitting him on the head, right? Because he wasn't listening. So I think when we don't listen to our inspired action, and it's something we really is wanting to manifest through you, it will show up in sometimes uncomfortable ways. And so the nice thing about that information is no matter where you are in your life and you look at if you are really uncomfortable and having pain like Trent was, or if you're having just everything's going wrong in your life, you can stop and go, oh, there's a reason this is happening. And now I'm going to see how I can turn that around and start focusing on listening to my intuition more often. And then those things will fall away. The pain will fall away. The bad situations will fall away. And then you're left with this amazing amount of insight that most people don't have. And then you can do what I'm doing and teach. So that's why most of us get out in the world and teach this information, because we were so inspired by our own journey. My journey was my divorce and not knowing myself and all the traumas that I went through, which is all in my book, Thrive and Shine, How to Find Happiness When Life Falls Apart. I really, really went down a dark hole. But it was that dark hole that helped me start to see my truth, and I started to turn things around. And then I got really excited because I saw the gifts in that hard time. So, and then I just get more and more inspired. So the list, things go on and on my life, and it's just so much fun. And not even just my life, the people I interview on this podcast, you've heard their stories. I'm sure you have your own. But if you start today and listen to your intuition, you take action immediately. Don't question it. Have faith. Just know the universe is going to take care of you. There's a reason it's coming into you. There's a reason those ideas are flowing to you. And why not you? I mean, I really need to write this book. Why not me? Why not you? And I don't know, this idea's been with me a while. I got to write that book. Got to listen to Janet Groom's podcast again about writing my book. But I'm just so excited for all of you who are listening, because I know there's something within you. I know it. I know there's something in you that is dying to come out. And that whisper may be getting louder, or maybe you're just starting to hear the whisper, and the doubt may be coming in, and that's okay. It happens to all of us. And the ego may chime in and say, like, well, you need to do more research. You need to look into more things. That's complete BS. Don't listen to the ego. And trust me, because I literally take action without thinking it through. Those things that I literally took action without thinking it through have worked out like amazingly, like amazing. I can't even tell you how amazing it's been, because I took that inspired action. So I hope this helps. I hope to inspire you. I wish I can see every single one of you listening right now and just look you in the eye and say, like, you can do this. And if it is coming through you, there's a reason, and keep going. And if you want to see me face to face, please reach out. We can do a discovery call. We do Zoom, or you can send me an email or whatever. I'm here as a resource, and I really appreciate that you took the time to listen. There's no accidents. This is the first time coming into my podcast. You needed to hear this one. If you're a regular listening to my podcast, you need to hear them all. I think everybody needs to hear them all because they're really good. Just saying. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day. I hope today's the day where you take action and all those things that have been inspired to you. I hope I've inspired you to do so. And I cannot wait to see what manifests in your life, because I know it's going to be exciting. So thank you all again for listening. If you want to reach out to me again, just go to my website at michelle-joy.com. That's MICHELE-JOY.com. Or you can email me at michelle@LOAmiraclemindset.com. And I love to hear from you, and I respond like lickety split. I'm one of those people that's like obsessed with checking notifications. So unless I'm like out in the wild or something, I will respond really quickly. So thank you for listening and supporting this podcast. If you like this podcast, please share it. Please tell everybody about it. I mean, everybody, like the person on the street who looks sad, tell them about my podcast. I'm just hoping to inspire everybody, right? And all my guests too, they're here to inspire. So, and if you want to be a guest, please reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. All right. Well, you have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I love you all so much, and happy manifesting.